Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Castles. I want to welcome you to the launch of the new digital health book, Making the Digital Health Revolution, Structural Elements and Logical Methods. This book is for anyone interested in the future that we're building with digital health and the role of law and philosophy. This book is for those who want to get ahead of the curve in industry by understanding the role of law and philosophy in digital health. And on top of that, it'll push your thinking and imagination into new spaces that probably weren't previously considered. So the book is authored by none other than Bianca Rose Phillips and edited by myself and Jack Murtha. Today, we're going to officially launch the book, which has been a research project of the author for more than 5 years. So I have to say, we have been in the digital health industry for many years ourselves, and I've read many insightful pieces of commentary on digital health. And, on first reading this book, we were both, Jack and I, really impressed by the levels of analysis provided there. And we're really excited to collaborate on this project with Bianca. This one is up there with the classics, right? Like Thomas Kuhn's Structure of Scientific Revolutions or Karl Popper's The Logic of Scientific Discovery. This book combines both structure and logic in one book. So think of it as volume 1 in a series of works on structure and logic and lawmaking for the digital health revolution. Now, we can think of no better time to launch a book about digital health. Digital health is playing a critical role in supporting healthcare through the pandemic, as we've seen, from telemedicine through to the development of vaccines. Now is the time, we believe, to be focusing on the digital health revolution and how we can use digital health technologies to their greatest potential. The only way to do this is if the law supports innovation and a digital health future.
Thank you so much for launching the book and for being part of this project. It is such an honor to have you part of this project. Could you introduce yourselves to the audience? Tom, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, I do. Thank you, Bianca. We are thrilled to be here with you. Couldn't be happier about joining you on this project. Again, my name is Tom Castles. I'm a longtime journalist, writer, reporter. I spent several years in marketing and communications, and now I work full-time as a writer alongside my partner, Jack here. We have a pretty interesting story, which I'll leave to Jack to tell, but the short of it is that we love storytelling. We are super interested in digital health and the potential that it has to really bring the world into a better, more equitable place. And we want to play a role in supporting that in any way we can. So that's why we're here today. So again, Bianca, thank you so much.
Everyone in digital health knows Jack and Tom. Jack, could you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Bianca. And I like how Tom put the onus on me to tell a story.
Well, it's because you're so good at it,
Yeah. So Tom and I met when we were like early 20s in a newsroom, grinding out deadlines, covering local government. And since then, it's just been more writing, right? More writing, podcast production, video production, you name it. And that's what I still think of myself as a writer. I might not be doing it for newspapers anymore, but I'm doing it with people like you who have brilliant ideas and we just want to get them out into the world. Doing it with digital health companies, all sorts of innovators. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think Tom and I embarked on a journey a long time ago, and we're so glad that it took us to you and to this great book, because it really is an amazing feat that you pulled off here.
Thank you both so much. It's wonderful to be part of this industry, digital health. I'm not sure about yourself, but going into digital health, for many, I think there's a personal experience that really drives us to this field. And so for myself included, it was, a matter of having certain experiences, both young and then, in my 20s, that really pushed me into this area. Was there some moment or some experience that led you to digital health?
I think one of the key things is that I love helping people realize their full potential. I love working on myself to try to be able to realize my own fullest potential. And when I started writing in healthcare, that was the first thing that struck me was, wow, like there is so much untapped, unrealized sort of kinetic potential in this industry. The ceiling is limitless. It's as high as we could possibly imagine for what we could accomplish if we really set our minds to it. And there's obviously a lot of talk, a lot of sort of people pontificating about what could be done. And I wanted to think about like, well, what skills do I have to be able to support actually, making this come to fruition, actually building a more equitable society, and enabling people to realize their true potential through healthcare, stripping away barriers that are preventing them from getting there. And writing is where I shine. It's what I know how to do best. And I figure it's the best gift I can give to this industry to be able to try to bring it to the best place it can be. So that's kind of what inspired me, is just realizing, wow, like there is a ton of potential here. I want to play a part in bringing it to reality.
That's wonderful. And Jack, what about yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question, Bianca. And, I want to preface it with Tom and I are on the writing end because we certainly can't code, right? So I lost my cousin to a heroin overdose when she was 21. And when I first started dipping my toes into digital health, I realized that there were solutions out there that might have helped her, right? So you magnify this, you multiply it out across American society, across different types of people, different disease states, you name it. And the magnitude of what can be done here sort of blew me away, because I saw the devastation, I felt the heartbreak, and I've been privileged. I've been lucky my whole life, haven't had to deal with much death. I mean, it's mind-blowing to me what can be done to ward off disease, death, and heartbreak.
Yes, and the idea of individuals having more awareness over their own health and how their bodies work is something that I find really fascinating.
So before we get into this, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about you?
The reason why I wanted to write this book is that, digital health is a really fascinating area, but I wanted to look at it from the perspective of revolutions, because, this is what is going on. We have a digital health revolution taking place. And so I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to look at digital health from the perspective of what makes a revolution and how the law and legal philosophy plays a role in bringing about a revolution.
The word revolution to me it's so big. Could you tell me what exactly you mean by that?
When I'm talking about a revolution here, I'm referring to a healthcare revolution, a big change in how healthcare practice takes place. And so we put forward the argument in the book that there are 4 revolutions within the digital health revolution, from clinical care to the tech revolution to the scientific revolution and cultural revolution that will take place. With Thomas Kuhn's book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, that was a time when we started talking about revolutions a little bit differently, to just refer to a big change in how things are done, rather than rethinking entire institutions and systems.
So we're not talking about blood in the streets and stuff like that, but is there an opposition? Is there somebody or something or some line of thought that we're going against here?
Those who are in favor of a digital health revolution would be arguing, say, for example, against the notion of patriarchal medicine and towards more patient control. And we have been moving in that direction for some time now, but digital health revolution really foresees that it goes that extra step, maybe even a few steps further, where patient control is really a fundamental norm of healthcare practice.
I think anyone who's tried to implement any change has felt how powerful of an inertia that can be. So yeah, there's definitely a lot at play here. But we have the digital health revolution, the way I see it, I think the way all 3 of us see it, is that it's it's an unstoppable force, right? Going up against an immovable object, which is quite a showdown. There's 5 chapters in the book.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about those?
We start off with the preface, and then we move into the chapters of the book. The first chapter talks about the digital health revolution and why this area is significant enough to warrant a discussion. Secondly, the second chapter talks about what makes a revolution. So this is when we discuss the different types of revolutions sitting within the digital health revolution. And here we also talk about the role of law in bringing about a revolution. Chapter 3 goes through general theory. So here it's all about discussing whether the prior literature has suggested the type of analysis that we're going through in the book, right? Is there a basis for it? Have other commentators suggested that this work should be done? And then chapters 4 and 5 go through specific theories of digital health and a range of exercises that the reader can complete. So here I talk about the pillars of the digital health revolution, and then also structural elements and logical methods, which is really what are the elements that bring about a revolution, and what are the types of logical approaches that we can use to argue our case in favor or not in favor of certain movements in law and society.
You know, you invited guest contributors to kind of paint pictures of the way they see this revolution unfolding. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm so pleased to have guest writers who have contributed their knowledge and insights of the digital health field. And so we have 11 guest writers. There is a section in the book with the guest contributions. They talk about their insights from, you know, how digital health is being applied in the field of surgery, to their uses in autonomous vehicles, voice technologies, digital health and music. We have a range of different fascinating perspectives being provided. So I want to thank each of the guest authors, Dave Isbitsky, Tiaja Jacques, Dr. Raphael Grossman, Joe Buckus, Audrey Arbini, Tamar Tavary, Dr. Neil Desai, Dr. Shane Genzik, Dung No, Todd Uri, and Uma Rastaeva. Thank you all so much for contributing to the book, and I highly recommend that anyone listening connect with these wonderful thought leaders.
So Bianca, I gotta say, I think you're being a little modest here, because the book provides the bedrock foundation for understanding this stuff. Like, I'm not an attorney, but I walked away with a way better idea of what this means philosophically, policy-wise, you name it. But you also did some original research, you know, a ton of original analysis. Am I right?
Yes, over many years. And it was, you know, really interesting to explore the prior literature, and then to undertake a case study where I actually went through extrinsic materials, which are the background documents for lawmaking, and put, you know, all of this into documents and analyzed it. We had to synthesize it, analyze the information, and summarize it for the purposes of the book. But there's a case study in there looking at a lot of different documents and looking at the logical methods that we use. So there's a lot of original analysis in this book that you won't find anywhere else. For those who are in digital health at the moment, you probably think quite a lot about compliance requirements in digital health, which is extremely important. This book takes you beyond compliance to look at other areas of digital health law. So there are 4 branches of digital health law. Compliance is one of those. This book is taking you to those other domains. And really, as we mentioned earlier, this is like volume 1. So this is just touching the surface. We could then go so much deeper into each of the elements. I could probably write a book on each of them at some point. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable process.
I just got to applaud you because I think we live in a world where a lot of people recognize the problems inherent to our snap, crackle, pop kind of moment to moment news cycle, especially when policy discussions are really geared around political parties, stuff like that. You went deeper than that. And I think for anyone who's looking to understand the way this industry, the way society operates at the lawmaking level, this book is for you. You know, it's not a cynical book, and it's also not a cheerleading book. It's a real book that is about how things get done. So there's just so much value in that, like Tom said, in an industry where there's a lot of hype, but also where there's a lot of cynicism too. I think this book can really help smart people who are busy trying to come up with these innovations navigate the rest of it.
We've got original analysis. We've got several chapters. We've got 5 years of effort on your part. We've got, I don't know how many amazing like thought leader type folks, inspirational folks that you just listed in the guest author section. Basically, this is all me just trying to say there's so much here, so much value here. And especially in a discourse around digital health that's laden with buzzwords and catchphrases. I mean, the fact that you're bringing original analysis to this conversation is just so valuable. It's really what the industry needs right now. And on top of that, such valuable perspective. I hadn't really thought so much about the lawmaking process and how it contextualizes everything I know and see about digital health. So truly, there's just so much value packed into this book. I think what we need to know now is where can people find it? How can they access it?
Yes, you can go into the website, biancarosephillips.com, and order the book. It's available with a promo code at the moment, and the promo code is all caps, the word launch. So if you enter that in, there's a discount on the price of the book for the month of September.
For everybody out there who's interested in picking up a copy, which I highly recommend that you do, you can find that again at biancarosephillips.com. Bianca, want to thank you again for inviting myself and Jack to participate with you on this project. It was an absolute honor from the moment you asked us until the moment we struck that last red line. The editing process was a fantastic one. I probably never learned more while I was editing something than when I was reading your book. So I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity and for having the faith in us to be able to do this project the justice that it really deserves, especially after the amount of time and effort and that you brought to it. So a true inspiration. Just want to thank you so much. Once again, I am Tom Castles.
And I am Jack Murtha.
And I'm Bianca Rose Phillips. Thank you all very much for being here for the book launch of Making the Digital Health Revolution, Structural Elements and Logical Methods. Please do get in contact if you'd like to discuss the book. You can contact me via social media on LinkedIn, Bianca Rose Phillips, or via my website. It's been wonderful to have you here, and I look forward to discussing further. Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Tom.